Well, for a streaming show to at least end on a meh instead of completely pissing you off, some might say that's as good as it gets.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. Undefeated transition champion
Yes.
2020 to 2026.
Yes. Nice. Yes. So yeah, we watched yeah, As Good as It Gets, the uh, comedy drama from the late '90s, starring Jack Nicholson, uh, and along with Helen Hunt, Greg Kinnear, and Cuba Gooding Jr. in a very small role. Of
But a
course,
pretty memorable, but a pretty memorable one.
yeah, yeah. And so the movie, of course, is
Oh, if
memorable.
you don't mind, a couple of other interesting
Oh yeah.
cameos. You had Brian Doyle Murray as the handyman, who
Oh
people
yeah.
might remember as the boss from Christmas Vacation, the Flying Dutchman from SpongeBob, and Bill Murray's brother.
Yes. Oh, and
And
uh, Yardley Smith. Um,
yep,
yeah, who those of you who don't know, she's the voice of Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons. Um, and I think she was cast in the movie because it was written and directed by James L. Brooks, who was
oh yeah, so it
yeah,
was okay.
one of the big producers of The Simpsons. And yeah, and who else was in here? I think that's really everybody. But yeah, so the movie is famous for this one scene that I've actually played it on our old show, Tuesdays with Story. This scene right here.
How do you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
Just the look on her face as she has her dreams crushed.
Yeah. Of course, that line is there because Jack Nicholson's character, Melvin Udall, is a very successful romance novelist, and he's kind of like right up there with like Stephen King and James Patterson.
Right, he has finished his 60-second book.
Yeah,
as the movie starts.
Yeah, and as of course he suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder to a like a clinical degree. He's got to do everything in fives. He washes his hands with different bars of soap multiple times in scalding hot water.
Right, he has like a bunch of fresh bars of soap. He takes off the bar of soap out of its plastic wrap, gives himself a quick wash under the scalding water, tosses it out, and gets the next bar of soap for additional washing.
Yes.
And I think that if they'd had any other actor but Jack Nicholson playing him, he would have just been completely hateable from the start.
Right. Yeah.
Because the way it starts is, so this is a movie that I had never known anything about, but I had seen this cover in every video store from Blockbuster in the 90s to like the DVD section at supermarkets in the 2000s, 2010s. So I was like, that image right there is burned into my head, but I'd never known what this movie was about.
Right. Yeah.
The movie starts with this dog who's owned by Simon, Melvin's gay neighbor, played by Greg Kinnear,
yeah.
running loose and about to pee in the hallway. And so Melvin's reaction is to just shove the dog down the garbage chute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and then from there we get we see how he interacts with people, which is just to be the biggest jerk on the planet, and not necessarily because he is a jerk, although he kind of is a jerk, but it's part of his condition.
So yeah, it's a very interesting characterization. Like the way I would put it is that so obsessive compulsive disorder, you have your rhythms that you want to do. Like he eats the same thing all the time. He goes to the same restaurant every day at the same time. He even gets upset if the same waitress isn't there.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like when people are telling their sad stories or interacting with him, it's like he gets overwhelmed. And so his defensive mechanism he's come up with is to start being racist, anti-gay,
Anti-Semitic.
anti-Semitic, extremely mean.
Yeah.
Because uh, yeah, that I forgot about the anti-Semitic bit. He shows up at his restaurant early on in the movie, and there's a Jewish couple sitting at his table.
Yeah.
So he decides to drive them off just by being as awful as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
he's also too prideful to go, hey, I have really bad OCD. This is my chair. Can I please sit here?
Yeah. Yeah, and of course his normal waitress is played by Helen Hunt. Her name is Carol, and she is a single mom living in Brooklyn, and her son is really sickly. He's got something wrong with him, but she doesn't know what it is, and so it's kind of messing with her own life. And so one day, so that happens after that. Okay, so
right. So this is basically a classic curmudgeon gets his heart embiggened story.
right, yeah,
it's like the first breach of the armor is the neighbor who is an artist ends up getting robbed and beaten by some people because I just want to make sure I'm not misremembering it because it's been a couple of days. Basically, one guy pretended to be a model, and then he kind of led in the other two to rob him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's beaten horribly, scarred, barely left alive, and they need somebody to look after the dog while he's in the hospital. Now, since Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, who's like the building manager, had been so angry at him for the verbal assault he had given everyone, he says, "You know what? You're going to watch this dog."
Yeah.
And what I will give him credit for is that once he's forced to watch this dog, he's all in on it.
Yeah.
He's too lazy to cook something different for the dog or get dog food. So the dog just gets to eat steak and bacon like he does.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the other, of course, another quirk of his OCD is that he doesn't step on any cracks.
Yeah, so he's like walking down the street, and I was like, he's doing a dance.
Yeah, and then as he's walking the dog starts stepping over the cracks. So he's like, "Oh, you're a good boy," and that's the scene of the poster where he's like, "Oh, you good boy."
Yeah. And I would say this is one that's worth watching. So I kind of want to, like, before we get deeper into the plot, I want to put a firewall here. I would say this is a movie that is very heartwarming. It can be funny in places. Now, often it's funny in places because he's such an asshole. You're just like, wait, did he just say that?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's just like a lot of other little moments of human comedy that are just so great. I don't have any complaints about a single performance in this thing.
No, I don't either. Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. Currently on Netflix. Yeah.
You may be forced to feel some feelings. That's the type of movie this is. You've been warned. This isn't pure happy-go-lucky time, and it is. And romance is a big part of it. So if any of that turns you off, stay away. But
yes,
it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, now we can talk a bit more spoilers.
Yes.
So So I'm going to admit, so he decides to start helping Helen Hunt's son, not necessarily out of kindness, but so she can go back to her job and be his waitress again.
Yeah.
And there's a bit after he's basically pays for this world-class doctor who's like the husband of his publisher to come in and personally to give a house call to examine her son and try to figure out what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Which he concludes that oh wait, your HMO didn't pay for allergy tests.
Yeah.
When you have somebody with awful asthma.
Yeah.
That puts him into the hospital a few times a month.
Yeah.
There's kind of a sadly funny scene early on where it looks like she's getting lucky after a night out, and then her son has an attack, and she comes back with like a little bit of vomit on her shirt. Like, oh, what's a little throw up?
Yeah. He said, "Well, too much reality for a Friday night."
Yep. But so Udall is helping her out, and she shows up at his apartment at like very early in the morning as he's watching Nick at Night.
Yeah.
And she says, "I am not going to sleep with you. I am never going to sleep with you."
Yeah.
And here's the thing, is that his character is so weird and curmudgeonly that the thought never even occurred to me that he would want to.
Yeah. The other thing too about that scene was like, I don't know why, but so late 90s, early 2000s, Helen Hunt was kind of like the Pedro Pascal of that time. Like studios were putting her in movies all the time, usually a romantic lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. They always had to have a scene with her in a wet t-shirt with no bra. I don't know why they kept doing that to her.
Somebody started it and somebody decided it was fun to see if she would say no eventually.
Yeah. The other thing too, says
like
a lot about
it would at least make more sense in a movie like Twister.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did it in this, this movie, and then Castaway. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I have not.
Well, she plays Tom Hanks' wife in that movie, and there's a scene at the end of the movie where she's in the middle of the rainstorm in a wet t-shirt with no bra. But it also says something too about New York City at that time, was that a woman like that can hop on a bus from Brooklyn to Manhattan in the middle of the night, and she doesn't get mugged
or worse.
Or worse. Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, this was after they started cleaning up New York, so
yeah. But yeah, and of course the other part of it too is with Greg Kinnear, Simon, after he gets beaten up, he loses all of his money, and he's broke, and so he has to contact his parents to try to see if they'll give him some money, and he ends up going on a road trip with Melvin and Carol down to Baltimore.
It is the funniest thing in this movie that he ends like that. Nicholson ends up being like rivals in affection with Kinnear, the gay man.
Yeah,
because like poor Greg Kinnear comes back from the hospital and all of the dog's affection has switched over to Nicholson.
Yeah,
gets cucked by his little toy dog.
Yeah.
Nicholson even gives him a bag of bacon, saying, "No, the reason he likes me is because I carry bacon with me when I visit him." Like, see, and like, there's Greg Kinnear with bacon trying to call him over. He still goes to Nicholson.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then to get revenge, after Nicholson's date with Helen Hunt goes pear-shaped in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Kinnear ends up walking in on her taking a shower, or taking a bath, and goes, "I have to draw you."
Yeah. Did you have sex with her?
It was closer than sex. You're the reason that cavemen etched on cave walls.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Like he finally gets his artistic spark back, and
Yeah.
it looks like he's completely driven all away all of Helen's affection for Nicholson. So it's like fair is fair, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, that bit, I recognized it immediately. Immediately, I went, "Wait, that was it? Just a reference on Family Guy when they did that back in like the first season?"
Yeah.
I that actually made me like the Family Guy joke a bit less because I thought that was just them being absurd with him wanting to draw some random construction worker
Yeah.
whose eyes were too close together. But no, it was a movie reference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're giving Seth MacFarlane more creative credit than he deserves.
I know. Sidebar, I seriously wonder what the world would have been like if Seth MacFarlane hadn't managed to get Family Guy renewed and he'd been forced to if he'd been that guy who had that cult classic animated comedy that tried to take on The Simpsons and failed, and then he had to go like work for other people. Like what his creative output would have been like.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's good. Could it either he would have been wildly successful, or he would have just spiraled out and into obscurity.
Yeah, it's just I do kind of feel like some of his problem is that because he got to be brought back again and kind of do the same thing. First off, Family Guy definitely felt different as soon as they ran out of unused scripts from the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
He also kind of got full of himself for a bit there.
Oh yeah.
At least creatively.
Yeah, and then he started doing all those movies. He did like the Ted movies and that Western movie and
Million Ways to Die in the West. But
yeah.
But okay, back to this movie.
Yes.
And so it does turn into a romantic movie, and I just love the way that they characterized Nicholson throughout this because again, like it's not that he didn't care; it's that it's like caring was physically hard for him because he just had such a hard time dealing with extraneous input that didn't fit his patterns.
Yeah. Which, that just, as somebody who is slightly compulsive myself, I can understand that.
Right, you just don't like surprises.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed this movie. Quite, I remember watching it. I think my family re-rented it when it came out on video, and enjoyed it. At the time, and I'd say it still holds up even after 20 almost 30 years. Oh
yeah. Now, there's a reason this was in every video store. It's because I could see somebody back in the days where you had to rent the VHS over and over again, wanting to rent it over and over again, and not realizing that you could just buy yourself a copy and save money and time in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I said it before, but I'll say it again. Yeah, go check this movie out.
Yep, currently on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.